Nah, ini hari ini kayak kita ramai banget nih di studio nih.
Banget.
Iya, jadi hari ini tuh kita memperingati Hari Anak Nasional, Sah. Nah, hari ini kita kedatangan narasumber siapa nih?
Nah, kali ini kita kedatangan 2 orang perempuan yang berkecimpung dalam pendidikan anak-anak. Yang pertama, kita kedatangan kembali Miriam dari Check It Learning. Hai Miriam, welcome back.
Siapa satu lagi?
Satu lagi kita kedatangan Kanya nih, storyteller kita.
Mbak Kanya. Okay, this is the second time, right, Miriam?
It
You
is.
hear this?
It is.
Okay, how are you?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Great. Kalau Mbak Kanya gimana nih?
Alhamdulillah sehat.
Baik ya. Tadi macet nggak ke sini?
Not really.
Oh, not really. Dari Sawangan soalnya ini.
Yes, lumayan jauh ya.
Ya kesini ya, tadi
Oh, ya.
sejam ya. Oke. Nah ini apa nih, Sa? Kita mau ngomongin apa nih hari ini?
Kali ini mungkin aku mau nanya nih soal neuroscience. Jadi Kanya, aku
Oke.
panggil Kanya nih ya.
Mbak Kanya nggak?
Oh,
Oh, Kanya aja.
Kakak boleh, kalau di dongeng itu dipanggilnya kakak.
Oh, oke.
Kakak.
Miss ya kalau in
sis.
English.
Sis or
Miss.
Miss aja
atau
ya,
kak,
Miss
kak
ya?
deh, kak aja deh.
Kanya.
Oke, kakaknya aja kali ya.
Iya, boleh.
Jadi kakaknya neuroscience ini kan penting sekali karena membantu kita memahami bagaimana anak belajar,
Yap.
merespons emosi dan membangun koneksi sosial. Dan salah satu pendekatan menarik untuk mendukung perkembangan anak adalah lewat seni dan cerita seperti yang kakaknya lakukan.
Kakaknya ini kan dikenal sebagai pendongeng musikal yang punya cara unik nih dalam menyampaikan cerita ke anak-anak. Jadi bisa ceritain sedikit nggak apa yang membuat kakaknya tertarik untuk menggabungkan si musik dan si dongeng?
Oke. Jadi awalnya itu aku tuh tertarik sama musik dulu dari kecil mungkin bisa dibilang. Aku SMA ikut paduan suara, terus juga kuliah ikut teater musikal, terus setelah lulus ikut songwriting club. Jadi memang aku tuh suka sekali dengan musik. Kemudian di tahun 2016 aku menemukan dunia yang baru yaitu mendongeng atau in English storytelling. Ya, basically mendongeng atau storytelling itu kan menceritakan cerita ya. Aku baru tahu bahwa ternyata storytelling itu adalah bakat alami yang memang dimiliki oleh semua manusia. Because everyone is natural storytellers. We can all tell stories. For example, what do you do when you first met your friends? Pasti akan nanya, hey what's up? Ada cerita apa?
Ngobrol.
Terus kemudian bertukar cerita. Jadi mungkin nggak sih ada orang yang nggak bisa cerita?
Kayaknya
Gak mungkin.
Nggak ada
Ya, mau itu cerita mungkin cerita tentang yang
About
kita
our
dengar.
boyfriend.
Ya, cerita tentang diri kita atau cerita yang kita dengar. Tahu nggak? Aku tadi dengar ternyata ada kayak gini-gini.
Gosip.
Ya, mungkin
Gosip.
gosip juga termasuk cerita. Tapi di sini aku lebih spesifik storytelling untuk ke anak-anak. Jadi storytelling ke anak-anak itu dilakukan biasanya with adult to children. Tujuannya biasanya untuk menyampaikan value, our life value about honesty, about kindness, about friendship, yes, about manners, ya. And also kita juga mau membangun bonding between adults and children gitu. Jadi dengan kemampuan bercerita yang dimiliki oleh para orang dewasa ini, harapannya anak-anak itu bisa mendapatkan positive messages tanpa orang dewasanya itu harus teaching them with like moral values. For example, like you should be an honest person. Kamu harus jadi anak yang jujur. Kamu harus jadi anak yang sopan. But we can put it softly inside the story. For example, we learn about honesty, kita belajar tentang kejujuran dari cerita si kancil.
Si kancil.
Ya, tidak boleh kan mengambil barang yang bukan milik kita.
Betul.
Dari cerita si kancil juga ada yang tentang dia mau nyeberang sungai, tapi ada buaya. Kemudian dia nyuruh buayanya berjejer satu persatu, terus dia berhitung. Di situ, we can learn about problem solving. What should we do when we face challenge like this? Oh, we should look for a solution in this case. Ya, di situ kemudian kancil can solve his problem gitu. Jadi dari situlah kita berharap our children can have critical thinking, ya. Kita bisa ask questions about the story. What do you think about the story? If you were in this position, what will you do? Oh, that's a great idea. And we can appreciate juga, kita membangun two-way communication with the children and many more positive things that we can earn from storytelling. Kemudian aku menggabungkannya dengan musik karena di situ musik juga bisa menjadi medium ya yang sangat menyenangkan untuk anak-anak. Every children love music, so I combine between music and storytelling. Gitu.
Sebenarnya aku penasaran sih, maksudnya kalau dengan kakaknya ini mendongeng, itu ada tekniknya nggak sih? Teknik speakingnya atau seperti itu gimana tuh?
Ya, kalau untuk awalan mungkin bagi orang tua yang mau menceritakan ke anak-anak sebenarnya nggak perlu teknik, because everyone is a storyteller. We shouldn't act like maybe someone else to tell story, but just be yourself.
Mengalir aja gitu.
Yes,
Ya.
just be yourself with your own voice, your own emotions. Just be honest and trust the story. Just believe that if you are honest with the story, it will deliver perfectly to the children's heart.
Berarti memang keahlian dari kakaknya ini sendiri tuh sudah ada dari kecil ya. Untuk storytelling ini gitu ya.
Atau pernah belajar di mana nih kakaknya?
Kalau belajar musiknya mungkin karena experience ya dari sekolah. Aku udah memang ikut kegiatan yang berhubungan sama musik. Aku pernah ngeband juga waktu kuliah. Tapi kalau untuk storytellingnya sendiri ini I learn by processing. Aku belajar dari professional storytellers. Terus I joined the storytelling community and also I joined Federation of Asian Storytellers. So storytelling is not only in Indonesia but all over the world. Yes, there's a forum or federation of storytelling in other countries gitu. So I learn from the experts. I like observe. Oh, so everyone can have the different styles of storytelling. So okay, so just be yourself. You can have your own style. You doesn't have to act like someone else to tell a story.
Nah berarti tuh tadi kan kakaknya bilang kalau ada komunitasnya nih si pendongeng. Jadi yang membedakan kakaknya ini untuk yang untuk dongeng itu ya. Jadi tema-tema aja, apa aja sih yang kakaknya udah sisipkan di dalam dongeng tersebut, dan biasanya yang paling favorit itu apa sih kakaknya?
Tema yang
pasti ada bedanya dong sama
tema yang bisa kita masukin ke dongeng itu sebenarnya almost everything we can put in the story. For example, aku sudah bercerita mungkin tema-tema yang kayak entrepreneurship, we can put it in the stories.
To the children?
Yes, we can put it in the stories. Or maybe when I tell stories to like early children, young age, like kindergarten, I also put like the theme like numeracy and color, knowing colors, and also like can you count with me? 1, 2, 3. Yes, we can put it in the stories, right? Bahkan tema yang lumayan kompleks itu yang pernah aku bawakan dalam cerita itu aku pernah bawain juga tentang financial literacy.
Oh iya?
Ya, tentang
to the children?
Menabung. Itu sebenarnya kan saving the money. It's also financial literacy for children. We can put it and mengemas itu dalam bentuk cerita. Sehingga anak bisa lebih mudah memahaminya gitu. Karena mereka melihat, oh, so the characters can save money like this. Oh, interesting. I want to be like I want to be like them.
Akhirnya mereka tertarik untuk saving the money dari kecil.
Yes, right.
Jadi memang edukasinya dibalut sama cerita, jadi lebih exciting.
Betul.
Keren sih. Ya keren ya. Oke.
Jadi kalau boleh tahu nih kakaknya, ada nggak sih selama ini tantangan dari kakaknya sendiri selama menjalani storytelling itu?
Tantangannya mungkin lebih ke gimana mengolah ceritanya, karena not every story is suitable to the various range of audience. For example, if you tell stories to the kindergarten students, you cannot put stories that is too complicated or maybe yang mengandung unsur-unsur kayak kekerasan or violence. You cannot put that story.
Berarti kita harus menggunakan using the simple
stories.
Yeah, simple story.
With maybe 1 or 2 or maximum 3 characters, not too many characters because they will so this is A, this is B, this is C, this is too many characters
Pusing,
will
ya.
overwhelm them. So I will choose simpler stories to kindergarten or maybe to the elementary school students. Maybe I can choose like a little bit complex story but not too complex. And yeah, I will olah ceritanya dengan menyesuaikan audiens yang ada. Paling itu sih PR-nya.
Justru itu ya
Iya.
tantangannya. Berarti kakaknya nih sama mendongeng sama suami ya?
Iya, mendongeng berdua.
Wah, keren.
So sweet banget.
I tell stories in tandem with my husband.
Waduh. Romantic couple, right?
Nah,
Iya,
kakaknya biasanya tampil mendongeng tuh di mana aja sih kalau boleh tahu? Dan adakah panggung yang paling berkesan buat kakaknya?
Kalau mendongeng biasanya aku di sekolah-sekolah, at schools, atau mungkin di acara-acara. Tapi yang berkesan buat aku biasanya itu ketika aku mendongeng di seperti lembaga sosial kayak panti asuhan,
Disabilitas.
orphanage, ya, or maybe di pengungsian, to the refugees children. Ya, aku pernah waktu itu mendongeng untuk penyintas atau korban banjir gitu ya,
Bencana alam gitu
bencana
ya?
alam. Jadi mereka itu lagi mengungsi di suatu sekolah gitu ya. Terus kita datang mendongeng dan itu
Menghibur ya.
ya, dan itu pasti memberikan apa ya, personal experience yang membuat aku tuh ternyata gak semua orang, not everyone is having a chance to listen to stories. Maybe they have like limitation to education, maybe they just cannot have the access to maybe apa ya, orang-orang yang bisa memberikan cerita.
Betul.
Ya,
Itu berarti di pedalaman pernah ya? Atau mungkin di
daerah ya.
Iya, itu di daerah pasti seperti itu ya.
Iya.
Kakaknya nggak banyak mereka punya kesempatan
Iya.
gitu, chance gitu ya untuk mendengar dongeng
Iya.
ini kan. Oke. Nah, ini kalau misalkan digital dongeng nih, ini tuh bisa ditemui di mana aja nih kakaknya?
Digital dongeng seperti apa misalnya?
Digital dongeng.
Mungkin kayak di platform
Kayak gitu.
digital gitu
Itu
ya.
ada.
Karena memang sekarang tuh eranya udah digital ya. Jadi menurut aku ini cukup memberikan kemudahan dan opsi lain untuk mendongeng. Jadi misalnya nih aku mau mendongeng untuk teman-teman di daerah atau bahkan di luar negeri, aku bisa menggunakan platform online untuk mendongeng. Ya, I once tell stories to the children and Indonesian family who live in Seoul, Korea. Ya, jadi waktu itu kerja sama KBRI Korea, South Korea ya, not North Korea. South Korea, of course. Gitu. Waktu itu juga emang lagi pandemi gitu ya, dan di situ ternyata kita tuh bisa menjangkau lebih luas lagi audiens ketika kita mengutilisasi platform online. Dan aku juga kebetulan punya channel berdua sama suamiku, musical storytelling. Memang kita documenting our storytelling stories and we put it in YouTube. Jadi anak-anak itu bisa rewatch the stories, or maybe parents can watch the stories for their inspiration to tell to the children. Gitu.
Penasaran sih kalau untuk musik-musiknya itu siapa yang ciptain kakaknya? Ini
Oh, nggak apa-apa, nggak masalah. Aku senang.
aku penasaran ini, curious gitu.
Iya.
Musiknya siapa?
Kalau untuk memasukkan unsur lagu atau musiknya, biasanya
Musiknya.
aku diskusi sama suamiku. Kebetulan my husband also has experience in joining a band. So
Okay.
yeah, he can play instruments like guitar and ukulele. gitu. Jadi biasanya sebelum kita mendongeng, kita mengolah ceritanya kayak tadi nyesuaiin sama audiensnya, kita juga discussing about the song, what song we will sing and suitable for these stories. Kalau kita, if we cannot find the song that is already written, we will write our own songs. Ya, but just simple songs.
Berarti ada yang ditulis sendiri juga ya?
Yeah, just simple songs, maybe some sentences yang bisa sing along with the children gitu.
Keren sih.
Nanti
Iya,
boleh
keren
dicek
banget
di
sih.
YouTube-nya.
That's so
Ya,
cool.
cerita Zekanya.
Cerita Zack kayaknya.
Oke kakaknya, sepertinya di Indonesia ini kan nggak banyak ya orang yang berprofesi sebagai pendongeng. Nah bagaimana sih kakaknya ini dan suami kakak melihat ini sebagai sebuah profesi?
Oke. Sebenarnya setelah aku masuk ke dalam dunia storyteller dan storytelling, aku baru tahu ternyata di Indonesia tuh banyak storytellers. Cuma aku yang awalnya tidak tahu kalau ternyata storyteller itu adalah sebuah profesi, pendongeng itu adalah sebuah profesi, dan banyak, nggak cuma di Jabodetabek tapi di all over daerah in Indonesia, all over location in Indonesia. Jadi ada pendongeng di Sulawesi, ada pendongeng di Sumatera, ada terus di Bali ada.
Tapi mereka maksudnya famous atau
Di daerahnya mereka
Famous.
cukup dikenal. Iya, biasanya kolaborasi dengan mungkin kayak sekolah-sekolah atau perpustakaan-perpustakaan. Nah, kita kemudian mengumpulkan komunitas-komunitas di daerah itu. Kita juga punya namanya Forum Pendongeng Nasional atau National Storytellers Forum pada akhirnya, untuk bisa menggabungkan yuk pendongeng Indonesia, kita bikin forum sama-sama supaya kita tuh tahu bahwa pendongeng itu ternyata ada banyak, dan kalau mau bikin gerakan sama-sama tuh bisa lebih masif gitu.
Oh berarti memang ada komunitasnya gitu ya?
Iya,
Ini
betul.
di Indonesia aja banyak ya ternyata storyteller. Oke. Ini menarik banget sih. Sobat kasih tahu ya yang ada di rumah. Jadi karena kan dari cerita-cerita yang tadi sebetulnya anak-anak kita nih sedang mengalami stimulasi yang penting untuk perkembangan otaknya, the brain ya. Dan ini sangat nyambung nih sama neuroscience sana. Di mana ada suatu teknologi yang menggunakan AI yang berbasis dari neuroscience ini. Jadi ini tuh sebuah terobosan baru yang bisa membantu dalam pendidikan anak. Gitu. Jadi biar lebih jelasnya lagi, langsung kita tanya aja sama CEO ya nih, Miss Miriam. Oke, Miss Miriam. We met before, right, in this podcast. This is the second
Yes,
time.
it is.
Okay. Okay, Check It Labs, a company now growing with the edtech company Check It Learning, right? Offering a LMS platform using AI and neuroscience to improve education in Indonesia. Okay, Miriam, could you explain more details about it and what has changed since then?
Well, first, thank you for having me again in this podcast.
Again.
Appreciate that. So since last time I came, we have been, growing in 3 continents. So in the U.S., in Europe, and also in Indonesia. So more opportunities have come our way. We have secured partnerships, but we have also worked at a higher level to influence AI policies. So we are part now of a global organization that's called Beneficial AI for Children. So in this organization, there's NGOs, big tech and edtech companies, and also governments that are part of this coalition. And the purpose of it is to establish and to define a framework and to influence policies to ensure that AI is used responsibly. So that's one of the things that is very close to our heart at Check It Learning, and that we are very proud of having joined recently. We also acquired a certification for responsibly design AI edtech tool. So as you can see, we've also been working on that side of things, where we're trying to make a difference, not just for our company, but also to advocate for a safe use of AI products.
Oh, okay, I see. Okay, Miriam, how can neuroscience be used as a foundation to build AI models that understand and respond to children's needs?
Well, neuroscience provides insights on how the brain learns, how it develops, how it learns, and how it reacts to different experiences. So by integrating findings from neuroscience, such as attention, memory, motivation, emotion function, we can design AI systems that are more attuned to the cognitive and emotional state of our learners.
Oh, I see. Oh, that's great.
Okay, Miriam, what makes neuroscience-based AI special compared to other types of AI?
This is a great question. So, you know, there is many ways of using AI, as you know. It is mostly used, at least in the education field at the moment, to generate content. Which is, you go to an AI tool, you ask, okay, can you help me create this lesson? And then, you know, you give a couple of information on your objectives and your class, and then AI is going to generate content for you. So what neuroscience will do, it will go a lot further than that. It will take in consideration how the brain works and how learning actually happens. And that will it will help the educator or the student with that knowledge to increase engagement, memory retention, motivation even, and will go further away.
Okay. Jadi memang untuk menjelaskan yang lebih jauh dan detail gitu fungsinya ya. Okay, Miriam, how does the Check It LMS benefit children, and at what educational levels is it applicable?
So first of all, it's applicable for, you know, K to life, I would say. There is no limit to how you can benefit. I mean, we all in our lives try to grow and improve ourselves. So as long as you aim to learn or grow, I mean, neuroscience will help you to achieve that in a much efficient way, if I can say. So the way our AI mentor works, it really helps to, for example, identify negative inner talk, or identify limiting beliefs, for example, which we know hinder progress. It will suggest learning strategies or even help you build efficient study skills. And it can also encourage like character strength, such as persistence and curiosity, creativity, and so forth. So it can personalize support, not just based on performance, but I would say based on development stage, emotional regulation needs, and growth mindset principles. So it really helps also with that idea that we talked about last time, which is neuroplasticity, the ability for the brain to grow.
Oke, jadi memang bermanfaat banget ya Camilla, terutama buat kebutuhan anak-anak tadi juga untuk belajar.
Ya.
Iya, betul.
Okay. Miriam, is an approach that uses arts and storytelling grounded in neuroscience, and how is it integrated into your platform?
Well, I mean, absolutely.
Check it.
I was listening to Kenya, and I mean, of course, you know, when you tell a story, there's something you were talking. I really like that you said like, oh, the heart response.
Yes.
I mean, it's absolutely true, and it's great. Well, something else responds, the brain. So it's called neural coupling. So what happens when you tell a story? It's like your brain synchronizes with your audience. It responds to it.
Yes.
So emotions are triggers like hormones such as dopamine, oxytocin, cortisol, all these emotions which are responsible for attention, focus, engagement, and even memory retention are fired. So what happens when someone tells a story, it kind of anchors the information in the moment, which explains why years later you can remember like a book because of the story, you know, that touched somehow your heart. So whenever you tell a story, it's like a mirror that's happening. The person identifies with the story, like really sees themselves in the story, and that personal touch really like helps with the learning process. And of course, music. If you add music to it, it's even more powerful because music is another way where you can trigger emotion, and music is a fantastic way.
Is an art.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Jadi
Okay.
Mbak Kani
So-
boleh nanya.
Yeah. Okay. So please continue.
Sorry.
Do you want to add something?
I was going to answer to the second part of the
Oh,
story,
okay.
the question.
Yes,
Sorry.
please. Yes, please.
Which was how is that like how can we find that in our platform? So I will say on the teacher side, our platform helps to build unit plans. So it will actually embed that strategy in the unit plan. So you would have, you know, all the plan, the lesson plan design, and it will have a story integrated that is connected to your lesson objectives to make sure that, and of course not that every single lesson, and you know, it has to be meaningful, but helping the educator either to share a personal story or to help the educator with a story that makes sense in the context or in the life of the students, in relation, in connection to the objectives of the lesson. So that's one part on the educator side, how it helps educators. On the student side, and that's also very much connected to what you mentioned. So it will help, you can have an interactive conversation with Cleo, our AI mentor.
Cleo.
And it will use many study skills, like not only that one. It uses actually hearts, collaboration, flashcards, self-quizzes. You know, those are all ways, efficient ways for the student to learn, understand, and memorize the content. One of the ways is storytelling. And I love how you said, how you can be interactive. And of course, let's be, you know, very real, like the emotional part and the human side of that interaction will never be there, you know, with any type of edtech tool. But you can get, you know, a lot of benefits from having that interactive experience based on storytelling. That's not only, I will say, tailored on the objective goals, but also nourished by the data we have on the student, which is, for example, okay, what is the student interested in? What are the values that are important for the student?
Wow.
What are the strengths, you know, that are meaningful, or that the student is trying to develop or already has? What's the compelling vision the student has for himself? So you can use all these information as entry points of data to create a story, and that you have like a superpower story because it's emotionally charged and it has like, you know, pedagogical goals.
Wow, really interesting. Can I ask one question to Mariam?
Of course.
Yes, I really interested by what you are doing in utilizing AI to support teachers and also students, right? For example, teachers can get data about the students, what they are interested in, and what stories can touch them, for example. But I am actually curious about the AI itself. Is there any chance, from your perspective, one day we will have like AI teacher or AI storytellers because the AI itself already has the data, or maybe you can make limitation for the AI, so AI cannot like do something else rather than only collecting the data and giving the support for the teacher. What do you think about that?
I think it's, you know, it's a great question. We ask ourselves that question all the time, you know, in our company, but also, as I mentioned, in that global organization. It's like, where do you draw the line?
Yes.
where is it ethical? Where is it meaningful? Is a human being, more impactful than AI for that particular case or reason? And I think, it's an ongoing conversation. We need to have that conversation with the students. We need to empower them also to advocate for their own needs. And there is no answer to that at the moment. There's a lot of questions. Is it safe? Is it age appropriate? Does it make sense? And I believe that AI has a place in education, and it can help. For example, at the moment, not everybody has the luxury to have a personal tutor at home to help with revising, reviewing the content before a test. I mean, as I said, you never replace a human, as a teacher, and let's acknowledge that. But first, you can train with AI. You can train the educator.
I agree.
And when you don't have that extra support at home, well, you still get help that you wouldn't have without AI. And I think that's where AI can be so powerful in terms of, inclusion and equity, because it gives access to extra tools that students didn't have in the past.
Okay, I agree with you, because in a daily basis, I also find AI is really helpful for me as a storyteller, as also as a content creator, because I can have like other people to have like a brainstorm together with me, for example, like that. But yeah, I agree, because we still have to think about what is ethical and what is not all the time, right?
And another way I'm thinking about what you say, it's, imagine you have 80 students, you're a lecturer and you have 80 students, and you want to craft a story. How do you know your students' personal interests or values? How do you know their strength? So AI can also help you with that data, and you could choose either, okay, for that particular story, I'm going to go with the majority, and I'm going to say, oh, most students are drawn, to this. Or you can make another choice and say, well, I'm going to be inclusive, and a few students are interested in that thing, and that's exactly what I'm going to target for that particular lesson. So, in that sense, instead of you going over like 80 student profiles to identify, that would take such a huge amount of time that nobody would have time as an educator to do that. Well, AI is a valuable tool to give you that.
Very interesting, because right now I, as a storyteller, we should do like profiling the audience like manually, or ask the teacher. So, what age is the audience for the storytelling session? But with AI, we can profiling like more detail. Yeah, we can have more detail of the students or the audience, like age, interest, or maybe values that is suitable for them.
Gitu
Yes,
ya,
behaviors also.
Yes.
Wow, thank you so much for the answer, Mariam.
Of course.
Interesting.
Cool.
Oke, jadi memang AI ini banyak sekali manfaatnya ya, terutama untuk pendidikan anak. So this collaboration between creative approach like musical storytelling and neuroscience-based technology could be a bridge to future education.
Ya, jadi mungkin sebelum kita tutup, nah jadi aku mau tahu nih dari masing-masing, dari Mbak Kanya, Miriam gitu, kira-kira harapannya apa sih di Hari Anak? Jadi before we wrap up, Miriam, I would love to hear what are your wishes for children on this National Children's Day. Mungkin dari Mbak Kanya dulu.
Oke, thank you. Harapanku di Hari Anak Nasional tahun ini adalah anak-anak bisa mendapatkan apa yang menjadi haknya, yaitu hak untuk mendapatkan kasih sayang dari orang tuanya atau orang dewasa yang ada di sekitarnya, dari keluarganya. Anak-anak bisa mendapatkan keamanan dalam dalam menjalankan kegiatan sehari-hari, belajar, dan anak-anak selalu dilindungi oleh tidak hanya lingkungan tapi juga pemerintah. I really wish that Indonesia will be a country that is safe for children, and also the government will like make more policies that is berpihak
protect
untuk
our
ya
children.
berpihak pada anak dan juga orang tuanya gitu. Thank you.
Oke, berarti sekarang Miriam.
So, what I wish for
what
children.
your wishes for-
Okay, I think this is such a beautiful question, by the way. I wish for children to grow in curiosity, in resilience, in kindness, also, and I hope we can support children to believe in themselves, and so they can make a difference.
Okay, we're all good. Thank you so much for Miriam and kakaknya.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Kita banyak banget
Iya,
belajar ya.
betul. Kita banyak banget belajar bahwa pendekatan ilmiah dan seni itu bisa bersatu dan justru saling memperkuat dalam mendukung tumbuh kembang anak. Gitu, Kamila.
Betul. Oke, terima kasih banyak. Thank you so much,
much,
Miriam, for
Miriam.
coming.
Thank you.
Thank you. Such a pleasure to be here.
Same here. Thank you.
Thank you. Oke.